Hello and welcome. It is 11 o'clock. It is the 7th day of February 2021. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Time for the greatest collection of commercials of the year. Hopefully we'll see the Falcon Winter Soldier trailer. We'll see the Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings trailer. And we'll see the new Black Widow trailer. So at this point, it's kind of over. So, hopefully we'll see some new stuff. Maybe something with Star Wars. I don't know. That'll probably just be chips and sodas and beer, but hopefully. So, yesterday I posted a video about the future of Dungeons and Dragons based upon this article that I discovered. And since then, I've been bouncing back and forth with my friend GM Bloodworth over at Unscripted Unchained, link there, about what we think the future of the product is going to be. And of course, this goes back to Critical Role and my issues with Critical Role, which just goes back to the fact that legacy players like myself and GM Bloodworth are not the target audience of Critical Role. And sadly, we're not Wizards of the Coast target audience anymore. Wizards of the Coast's target audience and Critical Role target's audience now are the manic pixie dream girls that fawn over Critical Role. And Wizards of the Coast thinks that's their target audience. And Hasbro thinks the target audience for Dungeons & Dragons is Magic players and manic pixie dream girls and, the people like that. And they think that because they are under the misconception that the manic pixie dream girls, the Critical Role fans, the new target demographic of 9 through 29 will spend more money per visit at the game store and online than legacy players like myself will spend. This idea exists because of Magic and because the revenue stream from the friendly local game stores for the past 14, 20 years has been 89-90% Magic. And yes, a manic pixie dream girl will walk into the Magic store, will walk into the friendly local game store, and buy 5, 10, 15 Magic packs, or more likely, whine and cry until mommy buys them 5, 10, 15 Magic packs. Of those 5, 10, 15 Magic packs, they'll pocket, 2 cards, and the rest they'll just leave sitting around, creating a mess. I mean, I can just tell you from years of hanging out at Seth's Games and Anime, and years of monitoring tournaments of Magic the Gathering, the mess Magic the Gathering players leave is just disgusting. Sure, they'll spend $20-$30, they'll only keep 2 cards, and then they'll just leave the pile of papers and the cards they didn't want just sitting on the table, and then after they close, the staff has to clean up. So really, you're wasting more money than you're spending because all those cards are just going to be thrown away or recycled, and all that paper is going to be away. But it shows in the revenue stream that, X amount of Magic cards were sold. Our target audience is Magic players. And add to that the post-Laura Bailey obsession with dice, and this thing like, I have to have lots of dice. I've got to have these green sparkly dice for my druid. That always existed, but Laura Bailey and her massive collection of dice and her dice jail, of course, made dice collecting more manic pixie cool. I want to be cool. I want to be just like Laura Bailey. I'm going to buy lots of dice. Again, the revenue stream is showing, the manic pixie Critical Role fan base is spending a lot of money on Magic cards, spending a lot of money on dice. That's our target audience. So let's make D&D more Magic-based, more Critical Role based, more based upon the fan base of who are just buying lots of cheap little things, because nobody's going to put down $200 for one single book. Except, of course, legacy players, older players like myself, who have a larger available income and who are more inspired by seeing older product reprinted, seeing more massive things like, The Borrow Maze by Greg Gillespie or stuff like that. We have no problem putting down $200 for one book and buying a $50 figure collection and investing lots of time and energy in miniatures and figures and and books and OSR stuff because we have the disposable income and we love the hobby and we love the nostalgia. But no, we're not going to buy Magic cards, and we're probably not going to buy 100 different sets of dice for each and every character because either A, we've already got years of dice, and B, we don't really think we need them. I've got my set of dice. It's worked for 20 years. Why change it? What am I going to do with 20 sets of dice other than give them away to kids when I teach them how to play? Sure, I'll thump down $200 for one or two books, but, $200 every now and then, or a lot of $150 purchases every week. Wizards of the Coast is seeing, our target audience is buying lots of little Dungeons and Dragons, lots of little figures, lots of little dice, lots of little Magic the Gathering packages. That's where our income stream is coming in. That's our targeting audience. So the reason why I'm not the Critical Role Dungeons and Dragons going forward target audience is because Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro believes, and this is backed up by the money and the words coming from game stores, that we don't spend money on D&D. But the manic pixie crowd does, which is, of course, false. The manic pixie crowd spends lots of little monies on the Magic cards and the dice and the figures and maybe buys one book. But why buy a book when I can just download it and have it on my thing for free? Or spend less, or use D&D Beyond, or better yet, use my mom's D&D Beyond account. But those little Magic the Gathering purchases generate the revenue, and the friendly local game store says, well, I made $150 off of Magic cards today, but I didn't make any D&D money today. But one guy spent $200, $300, $500, $700, but he only comes in once a month. So yeah, the 150 I'm gonna make every 2 or 3 days. That's instant money. That's more instant gratification money. That's the money I'm rolling over. That's the money that's keeping a roof over my head. I am going to support those Magic players because they're spending money. I'm going to I'm going to ostracize the legacy D&D players because they only come in once a month and spend that $700 to $1,000. Money every day is lots more money than money once a month, right? Right? No, it's not. So, going forward, the future of the hobby, the future of Critical Role, the future of D&D, we discussed this yesterday, two separate beasts. You cannot consider them the same entity anymore. I don't know why you ever did. Critical Role is its own beast. D&D is its own beast. D&D is going to keep going forward because it thinks its target audience is the Critical Role fan base and the Magic the Gathering fan base. And that is the fan base it is going to try and address. It is going to continue to ostracize legacy players. Legacy players like myself are going to continue to go, well, then fuck you. I'm going to spend my $700 to $1,000 on nostalgia product, supporting OSR games like Swords and Wizardry, trying to get the 3rd edition license to, taken away from Wizards of the Coast. That's a thing now. And predicting that the future is that if there is a 6th edition, it'll be very much geared toward the Critical Role fan base. It'll probably fail because by then Critical Role will probably have its own role-playing game. So the Critical Role fan base will either be, do I just keep supporting Dungeons & Dragons, or do I support Critical Role in their game? I'm probably going to support their game. The legacy player is going to be like, no, we'll still support Dungeons & Dragons because we love Dungeons & Dragons, but you're not appealing to us anymore, so we're going to support the Dungeons & Dragons we love, which is the OSR movement. Hypothetically, Hasbro will sell off Dungeons & Dragons, maybe back to Luke and Ernie Gygax, who knows. But eventually they're going to see that Dungeons & Dragons is not making them the money they think it's making them. And by 2024, post 6th edition, if there is a 6th edition, 50th anniversary, they're going to be like, eh. Now what they should do is just get rid of that legacy disclaimer, go after the legacy crowd with 6, redo 3rd edition the way it should be, a 3.5, a 3.6, ignore 5th edition, really go after the high money, high profile legacy products with D&D, and let Critical Role, the role-playing game, have the Manic Pixie, Magic the Gathering, instant money. Dungeons & Dragons 6th edition needs to be a long-term investment in the legacy players, like myself, people who have I don't have a large disposable income, but most legacy players do. They need to coddle and convince Luke Gygax and Ernie Gygax to, support the OSR movement, to support the idea of 3rd edition coming back. Let's just ignore 4th. Let's just ignore 5th. Let's just modernize 3rd. D&D needs to go after the legacy market, go after that $200, $500, $700 high-profile product market, and that's D&D 6th edition. That's the future. If Wizards of the Coast wants to keep making, and Hasbro wants to keep making Dungeons & Dragons products, or they just sell it off. They sell it off to somebody like, Stefan over at Dwarven Forge, who will support it and give it the love that it needs and understands that as much as the current Critical Role Manic Pixie Dream Ghoul crowd is a audience, your real audience for Dungeons & Dragons is your legacy players, your OSR group like me, and the Manic Pixie Critical Role fans are just going to follow the flag of Mercer, whatever Mercer decides to do. If Mercer and company decide, we're all aboard 6th edition and we're going to just go totally 6th edition, then great. But more likely than not, Mercer and company are going to go, let's make our own role-playing game. We're already testing the markets with Barddom, and we're already testing the markets with our other little things that we're coming out with our product thing and our publishing cutting. If it works, we'll make the Critical Role role-playing game. We'll follow the Pathfinder model. We'll make our own game, and the Manic Pixie crowd will follow us, and we're just going to do whatever we do. Make more movies, make more animated cartoons, make video games, and they'll be separate entities. Go after the OSR classic game legacy players, Wizards of the Coast. It is the only way to keep Dungeons & Dragons fluid, to keep 6th edition a viable concept going forward. Embrace the OSR, embrace the 3rd edition, go after Ernie and Luke and the licenses, and re-release classic modules and big epic things like you did with Strahd for $200, because we'll spend it. But if you're expecting the same amount of instant gratification money that you're getting from Magic players, from D&D legacy players, that's not going to happen, because you're not giving us a product that we want to just put money down every day, every week, every month. I'm not going to spend money on dice every week, and I'm probably not going to spend money on figures every week. The Manic Pixie crowd will give you $1.50 every 2 or 3 every day, for the small shit. Anyways, this is my video response to the conversation that's been going on with GM Bloodworth over at Unscripted Unchained. Link below, above, wherever it goes. Support me, Rockstar. I need a sponsor, and I will sell out. What do you think? What is the future of the Dungeons & Dragons product line? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you not give a damn? Comment down below. Hit that notification button. Subscribe to help me hit 500 subs by August 4th. Support me, etc., etc., etc. Let's enjoy some great commercials and hopefully some trailers for what's coming up in the MCU and Star Wars and James Bond and, horror. Yeah, let's hope. I will talk to you later. Go team.